Good morning, class. I wanted to just touch base and just remind you, if you would, to complete the course requirement checklist tomorrow. It'd be great if you could get it tomorrow by noon, something like that. That'd be wonderful, even tonight. Of course, it's not due till Wednesday, but it would really help me out if you could get it done a little bit earlier. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about, the first discussion board that you have due on Thursday at 11:59 Eastern Time, PM. And one of the things I want to make sure that I'm going to just give you some hints to help you really do the best possible job you can. The first thing that you really need to pay attention to is just the directions, making sure that you have the necessary word count requirements. Also, there are 5 citations in footnote form for your original threads, of course. Also, you have 2 citations per reply to 2 students, and I want you to reply to 2 different questions. So make sure that you get the footnotes down. I don't need bibliography. Just give me proper footnote citations, and we'll be good to go. And again, the second thing, just proofread your work, just to make sure there's no spelling or grammar or even punctuation errors. And also take note of the proper capitalization for certain words. But anyway, just do those types of things, and I think that you'll be fine. I do want to talk just briefly about each one of the questions, because I want to make sure that you do the best possible work. Now, one of the critical aspects of getting a good grade on your discussion boards is just making sure you answer each part of the question. You'll see that there's going to be, for this week, 5 different questions, and you have to answer 2 of those, but make sure you answer each part of those questions. Okay, does that make sense? I think that you'll understand once you get in there and see what I'm talking about. Well, the first question has to do with the canon. Make sure that you define what the canon is, the origin of the word, but also what it means now. And then the other part of the question is just a brief history. And so give me just a brief history, not just the beginning and the end. Give me a little bit in between as well. Doesn't have to be a lot, a couple sentences, 2 or 3 sentences, maybe 4 sentences. But make sure a lot of students forget to give me a history of the canonization process. Then, of course, list and define the criteria. And then, okay, give me what were some of the motivations for creating a canon. And then there may be a couple other questions after that, but that's the main thrust of it. But make sure you answer every part. Now, the next question has to do with the traditional evangelical position. Now, make sure that you define that thoroughly. Just make sure I understand that you understand what that means. But also, the critical part of this question that often trips up some of the students is really kind of doing a good job explaining Sundberg's position, noting what were the highlights of his position, what was his argument, but then also make sure you give me the critique of his position. Why was it criticized? What were some of the shortcomings or negative aspects of his position? And then just answer the rest of the other parts of the question. The next one's pretty straightforward, just really, telling me about the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the Essenes. Of course, the Pharisees and Sadducees are pretty straightforward, but make sure you define really for each group, each sect, what did they believe? Where did they come from? And I would like to see you note something specifically about what did they consider authoritative in terms of their scriptures, because it's different. So make sure you highlight that, and then just answer the other parts of the question. Make sure that you do note which sect, which group was on best terms with the Romans, and also which group controlled the temple. Okay, and then the fourth question has to do with, the Synoptic Gospels, which are Matthew, Mark, and Luke, versus John, because it is a little bit different, isn't it? And are they complementary or not? And so explain, why some suggest they're not, and then also provide the key aspects or the key points for why folks do think that they are complementary. That's really the key to this particular question. So just give me those key pieces of data that people use to argue that they are complementary. And then the last question really has to do with the 3 points of integration with New Testament theology. Now, this is an important question. And then after it asks you about the 3 points of integration, then really it talks about what are the 3 core convictions. All right. So make sure that you articulate and define what the 3 points of integration are. And then also, okay, what are the 3 core convictions that flow out of those points of integration? So make sure you answer that question thoroughly and define, those 3 core convictions. That's important. But there you have it. Of course, the original threads are due Thursday. The replies are due Sunday at 11:59. Make sure you take note of that. And hey, listen, guys, if you have any questions, just shoot me an email. I am more than happy to help you. That's what I'm here for. So I hope that you guys have a great first week. I know that maybe a little eager to get going. And so if you do, go ahead, get rolling. And I would suggest also that, you begin writing your discussion board posts before Thursday. Stuff happens. Electricity, company, work, church, all types of things. And so start earlier so that you don't, if something happens, you can come back to it and make sure it gets turned in on time. Okay? All right, guys, have a great week.